Now, how many people do you think have been canceled within the past 5 years, give or take? And if you don't know what the word canceled means, I would say it is some form of pressure that is used to isolate individuals as a form of punishment after they've done something offensive or has said something offensive. But going back to my initial question, off the top of my head, I could think of about like a couple people. Elon Musk, Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, Ellen DeGeneres, Lizzo, Leonardo DiCaprio, and the list goes on and on. But anyways, they all have different reasons of being canceled. They range from something very small to very large, but this is all due to something called cancel culture. And it initially started to become popular in the early 2000s, but it is very prominent today. Um, and as society is constantly growing, we do look for some form of achieving social justice and for understanding changes in our culture. But in order to do that, we have taken it upon ourselves to start canceling other people. And so that is kind of our way of bringing attention or giving power to more marginalized groups who have been offended or hurt, whether there was an apology or not. But so now when we see something morally wrong, it is pretty instinctual to want to that person to be held accountable of some sort. And obviously, it is so much better for them to hold themselves accountable, but um, we have kind of taken it upon of ourselves as society to hold them accountable um, in any case, and especially on social media. But it happens so frequently that a lot of times the intention kind of gets lost in the execution, and um, people don't even really get a chance to redeem themselves or understand what they did to correct the mistake or to learn from it in some sort of way. And so we kind of just ignore that problem, and that's the issue with cancel culture. It allows for absolutely no constructive criticism, and it silences communication rather than encourages the conversation. And most people are just focused on being angry and being united in that anger and really getting to attack that person. But it for example, um there are different cancelable actions that have happened. And they could range from something as small as like a tweet in like 2001 that was offensive to something more heinous and awful like rape or any sort of um, killing somebody. And yeah, but there comes to a point where most stuff isn't even being spoken about. Most people can't separate the action from the person, especially if it's a smaller thing. But people make mistakes, and that is something that we tend to forget because a lot of these people are on elevated pedestals in society. We tend to lose that, and sometimes you might be talking with your friends and be like, if I was a celebrity, would I be canceled? And so that kind of just shows that we're all on the same wavelength as far as people making mistakes. Um, but we are wasting a lot of energy um, when it comes to canceling somebody. A lot of times it's just a lot of anger and there is really no progress being made. Like, for example, Kanye West. He's been canceled probably two or three times, four times, I don't know. But that's the point is that he's been canceled, but nobody really knows why, or even if they do, it's kind of excused, or he's still selling a bunch of albums and he's still making profits and he's still um kind of just being disregarded. But the actual problems that he's done, nobody really cares about them or knows if he ever, you know, improved or grew or, has had more positive influence. But that's why society is kind of going down with cancel culture. And and more people who are being canceled, they kind of apologize, even if they don't really mean it, or you can't really tell because in the end, we're like, oh, they're just trying to save their career, or, oh, that sounded scripted. And so they can't even redeem themselves, even if they really did change. Um, and so overall, it's just very harmful. And if we're wanting to make changes to society in a more positive direction, cancel culture is not going to help with that. And so we need to come together, have more constructive criticism, highlight people who are doing actually really good things in the world, and maybe not be so negative, and then look at ourselves individually and see, like, have I done those things? Like, am I being hypocritical? Am I would want to be forgiven. Am I allowing other people to kind of have that sort of growth that we all want as a society? Um, are we being performative? And um, yeah, I would just say we need to do better. And if we are going to cancel something, it should be canceling cancel culture.